Today we are pulling back the curtain on a really fundamental shift happening in the auto repair world, specifically how shops are changing the way they inspect vehicles. We're moving light years beyond the old school clipboard and pen, and it's having a profound impact.
That's right. For decades, vehicle inspections were largely, manual, paper-based. It was just the standard way of doing things, but it came with some pretty significant limitations, both for the shop itself and, maybe more importantly, for the customer.
Absolutely. And those limitations weren't just like minor inconveniences, were they? They were major roadblocks, especially when it came to building something really essential in this industry, trust. For this deep dive, we've gathered insights from some key players and researchers in the space. We're looking at articles, data from RO Writer, Auto Vitals, ShopOfficer, and we've even pulled some interesting nuggets from a YouTube transcript by the Shop Owner channel.
Yeah, our mission today is really to get to the heart of what digital vehicle inspections, or DVI as it's often called, actually are. We're going to unpack why they've become not just, beneficial, but arguably essential for modern auto repair shops. We'll dig into the specific, tangible benefits they offer, and we'll take a close look at how moving to the cloud really elevates DVI. And then, critically, explore how shops can implement them effectively to genuinely build customer trust, supercharge their efficiency, and directly grow their business.
So if you're involved in auto repair, or frankly, if you just want to understand how technology is tackling trust issues in some traditional industries, stick around. You're about to hear how ditching that paper clipboard might be one of the most impactful changes a shop can make, really transforming operations, customer relationships, and the bottom line.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to ShopTalk, the podcast where auto repair pros get real insights to grow smarter, run smoother, and boost profits. Okay, let's unpack this first point then. The shift itself, moving from those traditional paper inspections to digital. What exactly was the old way like, and, why did it start to fall short in today's world?
The traditional method was exactly what it sounds like. Technicians using a paper checklist, usually attached to a physical clipboard, they'd walk around the car, check boxes, maybe, jot down a few notes with a pen. It was functional, sure, but pretty rudimentary.
And if you're the customer, all you're getting is maybe a carbon copy of that handwritten sheet or just a verbal explanation, right?
Precisely. And that was the core problem, really. There was a significant lack of visual evidence. A technician could write worn brake pads, but the customer couldn't see them. It made tracking detailed work difficult. And like you said, it created a huge hurdle for trust.
Trust in auto repair. Yeah, that's a persistent challenge the industry has faced for a long, long time. I remember seeing a pretty striking statistic about this in one of the sources. I think it was a Chultaway survey.
You did. That survey found that a staggering 2 out of 3 car owners didn't trust auto repair shops and felt they were often overcharged. I mean, think about that level of mistrust. Customers felt they had to simply take the technician's word for recommended repairs, without having any way to verify the need themselves. It's like a forced leap of faith,
And in an age where we expect transparency everywhere else, tracking our food deliveries, seeing reviews for everything, that lack of visibility in something as critical and often expensive as car repair really stands out. So this is where DVI comes in. What's the fundamental difference in the approach?
So digital vehicle inspection basically moves the whole process onto software. Most commonly, it's used on tablets or maybe smartphones in the bay. So instead of checking a box on paper, technicians use the digital checklist to document their findings.
And this is where the game changes, because they're not just writing notes anymore.
Exactly. The core difference is the ability to easily integrate media. Technicians document their findings with photos, videos, detailed typed notes directly within the digital checklist item itself. You can now show the customer the worn brake pad, the leaking seal, the dirty air filter. It's visual. It's undeniable proof, really. So with that fundamental difference laid out, maybe let's walk through how a typical DVI actually unfolds in a shop, based on the workflow described in the sources we looked at.
Okay, yes. So the car pulls in, customer describes the issue. What happens with the DVI system from that point?
Well, it starts like any standard visit. A repair order gets created in the shop management system. Customer info, vehicle details, all that. But then the technician picks up a tablet or smartphone instead of that old clipboard. They access a digital inspection checklist, maybe one tailored to that specific vehicle or the customer's reported issue.
So it's the familiar checklist process, just on a screen.
And as the technician moves through the car, checking the lights, tires, fluids, belts, the usual suspects, they fill out the digital form. And this is where the power comes in. They capture pictures or short videos of items that need attention, or just as importantly, items that are in good condition to show they've been thorough. They can add detailed notes, maybe even use voice to text to speed things up.
In the sources mentioned, a simple visual way to categorize the condition like traffic lights.
Yes, exactly. Most DVI systems use a simple color coding system. Green usually means the component is fine, good shape. Yellow indicates something that needs attention soon or maybe just needs monitoring. And red signals an urgent safety issue or something needing immediate repair. It's a really easily understandable visual summary for everyone.
Okay, so the text and the digital walkthrough captured all the info notes, photos, videos. How does this, sophisticated report actually get to the customer?
The software automatically compiles all of this information, the checklist status, the color coding, the text notes, and critically, all those photos and videos into a comprehensive digital report. And this report is then sent directly to the customer, usually via email or a text message link, often before they even leave the shop, or maybe while they're waiting in the lobby.
That immediacy and that level of detail, that must be a huge game changer for the customer experience.
It absolutely is. And many systems also keep a history, so the customer and the shop can see the vehicle's condition evolve over time, visit by visit, which is great for tracking those recommended services we talked about.
All right, now we've covered what it is and how it works. Let's dive into the tangible benefits. Why should a shop owner seriously consider making this investment? We already touched on customer trust. Let's start there again.
Yeah, this is really the cornerstone benefit. DVI allows for radical transparency. That visual evidence, the photos and videos, lets customers literally see what you see. It demystifies complex mechanical issues. You're not just asking them to trust your word that, say, a part is failing. You are showing them the crack, the leak, the wear. It makes your recommendations completely evidence-based.
So the conversation shifts. It's not you need X because I say so. It's more like you need X, and here's exactly why, backed by images or video.
Precisely. And receiving that detailed report via text or email gives customers time and space. They can review everything at their own pace, maybe show it to a family member, and make an informed decision without feeling rushed or pressured while they're standing right there at the service counter. That whole process inherently builds trust.
And it empowers different types of customers too, right? Some want everything fixed immediately. Others might need to defer certain repairs for budget reasons.
Exactly. Seeing the condition clearly helps them prioritize and plan. And that trust in the diagnosis means they are much, much more likely to come back to your shop when they are ready to address those deferred items. It builds loyalty.
Okay, beyond the customer relationship, what about inside the shop, the internal world? How does DVI improve efficiency and the workflow?
Oh, it streamlines the entire process. Technicians aren't scribbling notes that might be hard to read later. Documentation is just integrated right into their workflow on the tablet. Flagging issues is faster and clearer for the service advisor waiting up front.
Less paper shuffling, less chance of losing information, I imagine.
Definitely less paper. That alone saves time, reduces clutter, and cuts down on supply costs. Big plus there. Service advisors get real-time updates from the bay, which allows them to communicate with customers more quickly and accurately. And because the records are digital, tracking recommended services and sending future reminders can be automated, which, improves follow-up efficiency dramatically.
Okay, let's talk brass tacks, the bottom line. The sources repeatedly highlight the impact on average repair order, the ARO, and overall profitability.
This is where that visual proof is just golden. When a customer sees the damaged component and they understand the why behind the recommendation, their skepticism just tends to melt away. They're significantly more likely to approve that additional service that maybe they wouldn't have before.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with a picture of a clearly worn brake pad or a fluid leak staring you in the face.
Much, much harder. One source, quoting the industry veteran Alan Beach, states that shops commonly see sales and profits increase by about 20-30% after implementing DVI. That's a massive return on investment, just from making the inspection process more transparent and visual.
20 to 30%. Wow, that's huge. I wouldn't have guessed the impact would be that significant just from the inspection itself. Why do you think the visual element is so persuasive?
Well, I think it goes back to that trust deficit we discussed earlier. Customers want their cars to be safe and reliable, right? But they often feel vulnerable to unnecessary upsells. They've heard the stories. When you provide clear visual evidence, you remove the doubt. You're not just telling them they need something, you're showing them the indisputable condition. Mike Delacruz adds to this point, suggesting that without DVI, customers have a really high chance, something like 70%, of rejecting additional recommended jobs they perceive as unnecessary. DVI just drastically reduces that rejection.
And those digital records make it easy to follow up on those deferred services you mentioned. Yeah, capturing revenue that might have otherwise just walked out the door.
Absolutely. Automated reminders bring customers back for work they agreed they needed but maybe couldn't do right away. It keeps the connection going.
Right. And finally, DVI isn't just about sales, obviously. It plays a crucial role in basic vehicle safety and performance, too.
Critically important, yeah. DVI makes it much easier to spot potential issues early on. Technicians can document minor leaks, slight wear in components, or fluid levels that are just starting to get low before they become major problems or, worse, safety hazards down the road.
And you can clearly show the customer, say, uneven tire wear that might indicate a potential alignment issue, or maybe a slightly frayed belt that could fail unexpectedly later.
Exactly. By visually demonstrating the need for attention, maybe showing that worn brake pad next to a brand new one, or a photo of a low fluid level mark, you're helping customers understand why proactive maintenance is so essential for their safety and, the longevity of their vehicle. It really is a win-win situation.
Now, the sources really emphasize that DVI itself is becoming even more powerful as it moves to the cloud. Lots of businesses are shifting their software off local servers, but what does this specifically mean for DVI in an auto repair context? What's the big deal?
Well, moving DVI to the cloud basically means the software and all the inspection, data, photos, videos, notes, live on secure remote servers, not on computers physically located in the shop. This significantly reduces the burden on the shop owner or manager for managing and maintaining all that technology. It makes the whole system more robust and accessible, too, from multiple devices, multiple locations even.
So, no more worrying about your local server crashing and taking all that data with it.
That's a big part of it, yeah. The RO Writer source specifically outlines 6 key benefits of this cloud-based approach for DVI. Let's maybe run through them quickly. First up is security.
Okay, security, always important.
Paramount, especially now. Small businesses like auto repair shops are actually increasingly targeted by cyber attacks. Something like 3/4 of cyber incidents now involve small to medium businesses with an average cost of over $46,000 per incident. That's crippling. Cloud providers invest heavily in security infrastructure and expertise that's just far beyond what most individual shops could afford or manage on their own. Now, shops still need their own security practices, of course, but cloud auto shop management softwares offers built-in protection and, frankly, peace of mind for sensitive customer and vehicle.
That makes sense. Flexibility is the second benefit they mentioned. Auto repair shops definitely have busy seasons, slow periods. How does the cloud handle that ebb and flow?
It handles it really well because cloud systems are inherently scalable. If you have a sudden rush, or maybe you even decide to add a couple more service bays or open a second location down the road, adding more users or devices to a cloud DVI system is typically seamless, much simpler than the potentially complex and costly process of expanding software running on your own servers.
Predictable cost structure is next. This seems really important for small business budgeting.
It's crucial. With local software, you often have these unpredictable capital expenses, buying new servers, licenses, paying for maintenance, and eventually the big cost of replacement. Cloud-based shop management softwares usually operates on a predictable monthly subscription model. This typically covers the software, all the updates, patches, maintenance, and often IT support too. It just makes budgeting much simpler and more accurate month to month.
Okay, number 4 is insight. You mentioned earlier DVI provides insight to customers, but how does the cloud specifically help the shop gain insight into his own operations?
That's a great question. So beyond just showing the customer their car's condition, cloud-based systems can aggregate the data from all the inspections being done. This gives managers powerful insights into their own operations. They can track, say, inspection completion rates per technician. They can see which types of recommended services are most frequently approved or maybe deferred by customers and identify trends over time. This data helps optimize workflow, provide targeted coaching to technicians where needed, and really understand where the business opportunities are hiding.
So it's not just a tool for the bay, it becomes a management tool as well. Fifth is quality control. How does the cloud help ensure consistency across inspections?
Absolutely. Cloud DVI solutions often come with standardized, integrated checklists, usually based on industry best practices. This helps ensure every technician follows the same thorough process every time. It promotes consistency, which is key, especially when you're busy or maybe training junior staff. And because all the data is centrally stored and easily searchable, if a customer ever has a question about a past inspection weeks or months later, it's easy to pull up and review.
Good point. And finally, disaster recovery. Hopefully it's something you never need, but critical if, well, disaster strikes.
Exactly. If a fire, flood, or some other disaster impacts the physical shop, any data stored only on local servers could be lost forever. That's a nightmare scenario. With cloud-based DVI, your vital inspection data, your checklists, customer history, it's all securely backed up in offsite, often geographically dispersed data centers. You can access that information from anywhere with an internet connection. Allows you to potentially continue some operations remotely or at least recover critical business information quickly, even if your physical building is temporarily out of commission.
Okay, so just having the DVI software is obviously a powerful step forward, but the Auto Vitals source really emphasizes that how you use it makes all the difference in the results you see. Based on their customer data, there are some specific best practices that lead to significantly higher results.
Okay, so this is about really maximizing the tool's potential, not just having it. What's the first key practice they identified? Consistency. It sounds simple, but it's crucial. Top-performing shops digitally inspect 80% or more of the vehicles that come through their doors. Now, there are common exceptions, right? Like quick smog checks, maybe state inspections where the process is dictated, or perhaps a car that was just serviced last week. But the goal is to make DVI the standard operating procedure for almost everything else. If you only use it occasionally, you're just missing opportunities to confirm vehicle safety and uncover necessary billable work.
That makes sense. If you're not consistent, you're definitely leaving potential revenue and trust-building moments on the table. What's the second practice?
Quality visuals. This one's huge. The recommendation is to take 30 or more good pictures per vehicle inspection. And it's not just about hitting a number. The photos need to be clear, well-lit, and in focus. You need to see the detail. Crucially, this includes highlighting the problem areas, obviously, but also showing parts that are in good condition. This builds trust in the thoroughness of your inspection. Context is key in the photos.
Right. So showing the clean air filter or the brake pads that still have plenty of life alongside maybe the dirty cabin filter or a leaky shock absorber.
Precisely. It builds confidence in your assessment. And related to visuals, the third practice is effective editing. They recommend editing 60% or more of the pictures that actually get used in the customer report. This just means adding simple annotations, drawing circles, arrows, maybe even text overlays directly on the image to clearly point out the specific issue you're referencing.
Yeah, that seems incredibly helpful for a customer who isn't, mechanically inclined. Drawing a circle around a tiny crack in a hose makes it undeniable and easy to understand. What's the next metric they track? This one sounds interesting.
Strive for a customer research time of 400 or more seconds. This is a fascinating metric, I agree. It measures how long a customer actively spends viewing their digital inspection report after it's been sent to them. And the data shows a direct correlation. Longer viewing times generally lead to higher service approval rates.
400 seconds. Well, that's over 6.5 minutes. How do shops actually get customers to engage with the report for that long? Is it just about having lots of pictures?
It's really a combination of factors. It starts with setting expectations, telling the customer upfront they'll receive a detailed digital report with visuals. Then, it's about the quality of the report itself. It needs to have a clear layout, easy to understand notes from the tech, and yes, compelling, well-edited visual evidence. And finally, it involves good follow-up communication from the service advisor, maybe a quick call or text to say, "Did you get the report? Any questions?" To discuss it, answer questions, and reinforce the findings. When customers feel informed and understand what they're looking at, they naturally spend more time with it, and that leads to greater confidence in approving the necessary.
That's a powerful connection, definitely. Engagement driving outcomes. And the final best practice they highlight.
Complete communication. This one's non-negotiable, really. Send 100% of your inspection findings to the customer. Don't just cherry pick the red, urgent items. Send the full report, including all the green, good, and yellow monitor items, too. This reinforces the thoroughness of your inspection, builds maximum trust and satisfaction, and it ensures the customer has a complete documented picture of their vehicle's health, which is vital for planning future needs and, again, leads to higher approval rates over time.
Okay, so for a shop owner who's listening and is convinced by these benefits, ready to make the leap, what are the practical steps to actually transition from paper to DVI?
Yeah, the sources offer some good guidance here. First, obviously, you need to select the right DVI software for your shop. Look for a solution that integrates seamlessly with your existing shop management system. That's a big one. Ideally, maybe it's even offered by the same provider. It needs to have intuitive features for the technicians to easily capture info and media in the bay, and for service advisors to generate and send those customer reports without a lot of hassle. Ease of use is key for adoption.
Right. It's not just about the tech itself, though. The team has to be comfortable actually using it day to day.
Absolutely critical. Provide thorough training for everyone involved. Technicians need to be proficient not just in using the tablet, but in capturing those quality visuals we talked about. That might take some practice. And service advisors need to know how to interpret the reports quickly, discuss them confidently and clearly with customers, and leverage the system for effective follow-up communication.
And you need to bring the customer along on this journey too, right? Explain the change.
Yes, definitely. Introduce the DVI process to your customers when they come in for service. Explain how you're doing things differently now, and really emphasize the benefits for them, the transparency, the visual proof, the ability to make informed decisions at their own convenience. You want to frame it as an upgrade to your service, an investment in clarity for them.
And finally, you need to measure your progress. See if it's working.
Track those key metrics we discussed, your inspection completion rates, average number of pictures per inspection, service approval rates, your average repair order value. Compare them before and after implementing DVI, and especially after adopting those best practices like consistency and editing photos. This helps you quantify the impact, identify areas where maybe more training or focus is needed, and it also reinforces the value of the system to your team when they see the positive results.
Ultimately, it really sounds like DVI meets the modern customer exactly where they are. They expect digital convenience, clear communication, transparency, and implementing DVI well seems to deliver on all those fronts, helping a shop really stand out from the crowd. This deep dive has really shown that digital vehicle inspections are, well, they're much more than just a simple upgrade from paper and clipboards. It really feels like a transformative tool for auto repair shops, fundamentally changing how they interact with customers, how efficiently they operate day to day, and ultimately how successfully they grow their business.
Yeah, we've seen how DVI builds that radical transparency through visual evidence, how it directly combats that historical customer mistrust, and how it boosts the bottom line significantly, often by that 20-30% figure, or even more when those best practices like high-quality visuals and consistent use are really nailed down.
And moving those DVI systems to cloud-based solutions adds those really essential layers of security, flexibility, predictable cost, powerful internal insights, quality control, and even disaster recovery. Benefits that are increasingly vital for any small business today, not just auto repair.
It just shifts the dynamic, doesn't it? From what could sometimes be a potentially adversarial interaction based on, blind trust, to a much more collaborative one based on shared understanding and clear visual proof.
So as you reflect on this, maybe consider how adopting digital vehicle inspections, especially embracing cloud technology and really committing to those best practices we talked about, could fundamentally reshape the relationship between an auto repair shop and its customers, turning that historical skepticism into long-lasting trust and loyalty. And it really makes you think, what other service industries out there struggle with a similar lack of transparency that creates friction? How could they potentially apply similar principles of digital visualization and clear communication to build that same level of customer confidence? Something to mull over.
Great point. That's definitely something worth exploring in a future episode.
Thanks for tuning in to Shop Talk by ShopOfficer. If you found this helpful, share it with a fellow mechanic or shop owner and follow for more real-world advice. Want to take your shop digital? Visit shopofficer.com to get started for free. Until next time, keep wrenching smart.
1, 2, 3.